And welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Tuesday, March 27th. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain, and many of the stories we read here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryTV.com. Melody Sherchief is like many tribal prosecutors in that the 51-year-old grandmother of 18 has no law degree, and all of her courtroom experience comes from 2 decades working her way up as a clerk, public defender, and finally a prosecutor. The Blackfeet tribal prosecutor joined more than a dozen others from reservations in Montana, Washington, and North Dakota recently on the Flathead Reservation, looking to shore up their courtroom savvy with legal training from the Montana U.S. Attorney's Indian Country Unit. The topics range from nuts and bolts tactics and strategies to a mock trial where prosecutors had to try a domestic violence case with a reluctant witness. I want to be able to do it right. That's why I'm here, said Sherchief. Every day's a learning process. Of the 20 prosecutors working on tribal court systems in Montana's 7 reservations, only 6 have law degrees. Sherchief doesn't think the lack of formal legal training has hurt her, nor has it hindered her ability to try hundreds of cases ranging from driving license infractions to sexual assault. Jerry Howard was loath to let a digital recorder capture her voice for a new kind of dictionary. A fluent speaker of Ojibwe on Minnesota's Leech Lake Reservation, she didn't like how she sounded on playback, but the sense of urgency she and other Ojibwe speakers share about their endangered tongue prevailed. With help from elders such as Howard, a University of Minnesota professor, and students have created the first online talking dictionary of Ojibwe. The effort involved crisscrossing Minnesota and Wisconsin to record the voices of the dictionary and brainstorm entries for a newfangled concepts such as internet and school dance. I was glad they were doing this because our language is getting lost, said Howard. A lot more people will be able to learn it now. The Ojibwe People's Dictionary is part of a redoubled effort in recent years to preserve and revitalize Ojibwe, the language of some 200,000 people in the Great Lakes region, according to the St. Paul Pioneer Press. Another tough summer could be shaping up for salmon and farmers in the Klamath Basin of southern Oregon and northern California. Klamath County commissioners in Klamath Falls, Oregon declared a drought recently, the first step towards state and federal drought declarations that would trigger aid programs and allow farmers to pump emergency wells for irrigation. On the California end of the basin, Humboldt County and the Hoopa Valley tribe are asking state and federal officials to devote more water to salmon in the Trinity River, the biggest Klamath River tributary, rather than divert it to farms in California's Central Valley. With a record return of more than some 380,000 salmon predicted for the Klamath River Basin, 3 times more than recorded numbers, and snowpacks running below normal, biologists are concerned conditions could be shaping up for a repeat of a 2002 event when tens of thousands of adult salmon died before they could spawn in the Klamath River. Bandelier National Monument is calling on photographers and artists from around the country to submit work for a display on the park's 213th annual pass. The park will be accepting submissions through April 4th. Park Superintendent Jason Lott says if Bandelier has inspired someone's creative side, this is a chance to show off. The winner and 2 runners-up will receive free entry to all the national parks for 1 year. The winner will also receive a personal tour of Bandelier. The winning entries will be announced April 27th. The Bandelier sells hundreds of annual passes each year. Proceeds from those passes help fund special projects and programs at the park. Bandelier showcases a collection of prehistoric Native American archaeological sites in the historic visitor center at the bottom of the Frijoles Canyon. Generations of Navajo families have grazed livestock in a remote but spectacular mesa that overlooks the confluence of the Colorado and Little Colorado rivers. This is called the East Rim, and it's of the majestic Grand Canyon, the last with no significant development. But ancestral tradition and tranquility of the landscape could be subject to change if the Navajo government's plans are realized for a resort and aerial tramway that could ferry tourists from cliff tops to the water's edge. The vast 27,000 square mile or 70,000 square kilometer Navajo Reservation abuts Grand Canyon National Park, and tribal leaders say they're losing out on tourist dollars and jobs for their people by leaving the land underdeveloped. Navajo President Ben Shelley recently signed a non-binding agreement that lists the gondola, a restaurant, a half-mile river walk, a resort hotel and spa, and recreation vehicle park among the attractions of a proposed development that he says will bring up to $70 million a year in revenue to the tribe and about 2,000 jobs to the impoverished reservation. And that is another roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to say when and for joining with us, and you come back again soon. Miigwech.